Hold on, what's this? Jurgen Klopp wants to sign Conor Gallagher from Chelsea. Doesn't actually surprise me in hindsight. We can get into that story today, ladies and gentlemen. We can also talk about Chelsea moving to Craven Cottage for a bit. Could a new stadium build take 7 years? Also, Chelsea will go for a striker. We've spoken about this just yesterday. Did Chelsea actually need a super expensive striker? Do they have enough? And then Kunku, Bria, Cole Palmer, apparently, Jackson... You know? So welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, friends. I really do hope that. And yeah, welcome back to Chelsea news, of which there is a lot to talk about today. So we shall get into it rather quickly. Thanks for joining me. If you want to support the content, you're welcome to subscribe, and I'll thank you for dropping a like on the video. Alright then, you know what, let's just hop straight in. Let's talk about the stadium first, then we can talk about what Fabrizio Romano said about Chelsea signing a striker. And we can end on Jurgen Klopp trying to sign Conor Gallagher. It doesn't actually surprise you when you think of it. He does seem like the exact type of Liverpool midfielder. But we know how important Conor Gallagher has become for Chelsea and Pochettino, and we can reiterate that in a moment. But starting on the stadium, the Daily Mail has written about Chelsea's wanting to potentially move to Earls Court, redevelop Stamford Bridge, and it speaks on the challenges that represents with the Chelsea pitch owners and some stuff coming from them. I'm not going to cite that bit, go and check it out, but I'll read this end paragraph here that I find quite interesting. Chelsea have faced a number of obstacles to making the large-scale renovations under former owner Roman Abramovich. Of course, finally sorting out Stamford Bridge, that is. But funds for the rebuild were put aside as part of the £4.25 billion acquisition of the club by co-controlling owners Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital. People forget, 4.25 billion. The club was actually sold for, what, 2.2 billion? Something like that. But there was like 2 billion put aside, and for the new stadium and for, like, you know, just general club touch-ups, like whether it be training ground or transfers or whatever. Potential work on the stadium, which would aim to increase the capacity to 60,000 people. Of course, at the moment it's about 40,000. Would be in line with their Premier League club rivals. Would see the Blues playing away from Chelsea for over 4 years, and an expansion would not begin until 2026 at the earliest. So there's your 7-year time span. So it would take 4 years to build? How long did it take to build the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Surely not 4 years. Anyway, venues that have been floated to host Chelsea, of course, while the renovations are being undertaken, so staying at Chelsea, staying at Stamford Bridge, essentially knocking it down and starting again, probably the best way. Have included Wembley, not for me, ladies and gentlemen, and Pochettino has already suffered and endured having to coach a club at Wembley while they build a new stadium in Tottenham, of course. And let's not forget, Pochettino has a 2-year contract. He wants to, probably be at home at Stamford Bridge for as long as possible while he rebuilds his sort of top level career and hopefully a Chelsea legacy. Twickenham as well, not massively into that. And Craven Cottage, of course, where our West London neighbours Fulham play. We're both in Fulham. It's a nice stadium, Craven Cottage. I've said it before, I like watching football there. It's been redeveloped, it's got a big new stand, it's got a lovely walk down to the stadium. It's local, it's just small. Boehly has believed to already have held informal talks with Fulham's owner, Shahid Khan, about the possibility of ground sharing. So informal talks is probably like having a beer, chatting over the phone. But although representing the most convenient move just 1 mile down the road, a spell in Craven Cottage with the capacity of just 25,700 people could see the Blues miss out on key revenue. Yeah, it's already like 20,000 less, 15,000 less than what we've got at the moment. Should Chelsea owners opt for a stand-by-stand refurbishment, the work could take significantly longer. Yeah, and apparently it's just not the best way to redevelop doing stand-by-stand. You need to build it all together, like purpose-built. Yes, and that isn't the best way. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comment down below. What do you think of Craven Cottage? What do you think of relocation? What do you think of the big wait? Let's move on. Yeah, we are going to talk about Conor Gallagher and Klopp in just a moment. That ruddy, big-teethed bastard. Anyway, Cy Phillips on his website has written about Chelsea and a striker. Chelsea may have been given a boost in their attempts to sign one of their striker targets after the latest report. We keep hearing about Chelsea being keen on bringing in a new striker in 2024, and there are a couple of names that keep coming up. Of course, Ivan Toney and Victor Osimhen. Now, the January transfer window is like a couple of months away. Cy Phillips cites a couple of tweets here, one of his own, quoting Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea are keeping an eye on Victor Osimhen, but despite reports that saying he's agreed a contract with Liverpool, his understanding is he hasn't agreed anything with any club. There's not even an agreement over a new contract with Napoli. Pause. Also, Liverpool have attackers. Maybe, just maybe, they're preparing for a world post-Mohamed Salah. I know Salah is a wide forward, but he's a goal scorer, and they'll probably be looking to replace those goals. But they've got Giotto, who can, play down the middle. They've got Darwin Núñez, who's potentially an €100 million striker that they're still relatively, not been there very long. They've got Diaz. They've got loads of people. They're fine. They're fine. He also cites a tweet from CFCPYS, also quoting Fabrizio Romano here, which says Chelsea will go for a striker in 2024. Let's see January or summer window. We mentioned Osimhen, but there's also monitoring Toney. So that's really really hammering home that Chelsea are going to. That's categorical news, or like a statement from Fabrizio Romano saying Chelsea will, they will get a striker. Maybe the fact that Nico Jackson underperformed at XG and they don't want to play Nkunku there in the long run. They want to play him off slightly in a wide channel or a bit deeper, and they just think Brie is like a rotational option that they're happy to pay his wages. They're probably thinking, all right, let's get ourselves a striker. Osimhen would be the most expensive of the two, of course Toney and Osimhen, but there would be a situation brewing up there due to his current club. Napoli posting some pretty silly stuff about the striker, of course all the stuff with TikTok. Chelsea, though, might want to bring in their new striker in January, and there could be an issue with Osimhen's side at least. Journalist Nizar Kinsella of the Evening Standard believes Osimhen is trying to force his way out of Napoli, but Napoli are unlikely to entertain any sale until the summer. Well, De Laurentiis is the chief head honcho at Napoli, and he is notoriously hard to negotiate with. We've already dealt with him with, getting Sarri out, getting Jorginho out, and eventually signing Koulibaly. Discussing the 24-year-old on the London is Blue podcast, great podcast, Kinsella says this: I think that Victor Osimhen is trying to force his way out of Napoli in the long run, but Napoli are very good at holding firm, like I said, the aforementioned De Laurentiis, and don't really get bullied by their players, so I think there'll be a tricky one to get Osimhen out. Yeah, man, listen, Napoli really don't get bullied by their players. I forget the Italian word for it, but it's called like detention. James Horncastle of The Athletic and other broadcasting stuff spoken about it before. They're like when Mertens was there, and I think Higuain and stuff, and when they perform badly, they like lock them into the training ground and they have to sleep there. I can't remember the name of this guy. I keep saying that there's an Italian word for it. I keep forgetting. But they sort of suffer no fools, Napoli, and take no prisoners. Although actually they do take prisoners. They keep their players prisoners. So that's really, really interesting to hear that. And I don't think they'll be mugged off by anyone. So congratulations to that. That's a positive thing for a club. But I do think Osimhen will leave Napoli, and who knows, maybe it'll be for Chelsea. Of course, there's that picture of him as a kid in a Chelsea shirt. It always helps. And should Chelsea sign him, you can bet your bottom dollar that friggin' photo coming up again, just like it did with Moises Caicedo in the Chelsea shirt. So, yeah. Alright then, let's talk about it. Jurgen Klopp wanting to sign Conor Gallagher. Actually cites Cy Phillips again on this article. It's teamtalk.com, written by James Marshment. And he writes this: Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp is reportedly plotting a move to sign Conor Gallagher in 2024. Remember, 2024 can be January in months, weeks time, you know, assuming Chelsea don't manage to sort out his contract. Remember, he's not signed a new deal like Ian Maatsen. Conor Gallagher and Maatsen were available for sale in the summer. Maatsen had a price agreed, a transfer agreed to Burnley for 31.5 million, which, by the way, in hindsight, I think we probably should have sold him for that money. But, you know, the player has to agree to go, of course. The Reds manager spent his entire summer budget, some £145 million, on strengthening his Liverpool midfield, with 4 new arrivals coming through Anfield doors after an uncharacteristic struggle in the engine room during the last campaign. It was evident Klopp needed to reinvest in the side, as some 6 players departed Anfield, 4 of whom left at the end of their deals, or in Arthur Melo's case, a season-long loan. However, Liverpool remained 2 players light to last season, and reports are growing that Klopp could look to bring in another central midfielder during the January transfer window. With the winter window officially opening in 67 days, that is not a very long time, 67 days when you say it like that. It is little surprise to see the club starting to formulate supposed to be formulate, I guess, their plans. I was going to say, that's a new word. Strengthening already. And Liverpool are being strongly linked with a couple of midfielders, with Fluminense star Andre seemingly at the top. However, they face competition with Arsenal. As a consequence, Liverpool are scouring the market for alternatives, and they're looking at Calvin Phillips. Actually, Calvin Phillips is probably a really smart move, because he starts for England, you know, and he often looks good for England, but he just doesn't get a sniff at Man City. And I wonder if Man City would look to like buy a £20 million replacement for Rodri, or like alternative, like, you know, a Julian Alvarez diamond they get from like South America, rather than this like £50 million investment on Calvin Phillips, who just doesn't get a sniff. Would Liverpool want to pay that much for him? Journalist Cy Phillips claims Chelsea man Gallagher remains a player of interest for Jurgen Klopp, and that Liverpool boss senses an opportunity to prize the England midfielder away from Stamford Bridge. He wanted Mason Mount as well, lest we forget. I do think Mason Mount would have been so good for Liverpool. Liverpool play a 4-3-3 formation. Of course, Manchester United play a 4-2-3-1, and they've been playing Mason Mount in a double pivot, which doesn't work. But in a Jurgen Klopp midfield, as one of the offensive 8s, Mason Mount would be perfect. Or Conor Gallagher, who, by the way, is playing incredibly well for Chelsea at the moment as a number 8. I don't know, is the video before last, so the video upload, not yesterday, the day before, we spoke about these ridiculous stats from Conor Gallagher, that he's got more, like, certain defensive metrics, he's got more than both Enzo and Caicedo combined, and he's obviously got these amazing offensive stats. I'm not to denigrate the roles that Enzo and Caicedo are playing. Obviously, they've been knackered as well, doing a lot of international travel to South America, which Conor hasn't been doing. But his stats have been incredible, and since he's moved into a 3-man midfield, he's been very, very important to Chelsea. Writing on his Substack column, Cy Phillips commented, "I'm told Liverpool are keen to add more English players, and they've taken a keen interest in Gallagher. The Blues midfielder has emerged in recent seasons as a regular at Chelsea, having previously impressed, of course, on loan at Crystal Palace, as, by the way, a right number 8, the role he's playing right now at Chelsea. Settled at the club and seemingly one of the Pochettino's first picks, Gallagher is soon due to open talks over a new deal. Of course, when he gets to January, he'll have 18 months left on his deal, and the Chelsea owners don't like that. It's a sign or go ting, isn't it? We exclusively revealed earlier this week that Chelsea are set to re-enter negotiations with Gallagher amid interest with Newcastle, Brighton, Tottenham, and Liverpool. However, there are suggestions that Chelsea and Gallagher still have a difference on opinion over the terms of the deal. And this is where more recurring themes of Mason Mount comes into it. They probably feel like, right, well, if I go to an Arsenal, who, by the way, wanted Mount as well, a Liverpool, a Manchester United, they will pay me 220k a week. You, Chelsea, are offering me 80k a week. That's generally the vibe of what's going on. And you know, it's very difficult now because we're paying like Mudryk, 90k a week. World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez 100k a week. Do you know what I mean? These players, And then Gallagher knows if he goes to Liverpool, we get twice as much as that. So it's becoming very difficult. The Blues have shown under co-owner Todd Boehly that any players who enters the final year of their agreement, having not signed a deal, will be put up for sale. It's actually the final 2 years, not the final year. The American took that stance over the summer with Mason Mount, sold for £55 million, rising up to 60 million, of course, to Manchester United, having previously scolded the previous regimes for allowing the likes of Rudiger and Christensen both to run down their contracts and go to Real Madrid and Barcelona. They didn't run down their contracts so they could get a decent sign-in fee at Galatasaray or something. No disrespect to that. Do you know what I mean? All this a big club with a Champions League club that's maybe not the top. But they went to Barcelona and Real Madrid on frees, which is wild. Now there are suggestions the same could happen with Gallagher, presenting Pochettino with a possible headache. Well, not so much Pochettino, he will just play him while he has him. Although I guess you always want to invest in the players you feel like you're going to have long term. It's presenting, allowing Klopp with an opportunity to pinch the 23-year-old midfielder. Any such deal looks unlikely to happen in January. Yes, we'll be mid-season, but if Liverpool come in with a big offer and Gallagher says, nah, I just don't fancy this, boys, I ain't going to sign for 80k a week. Look, Liverpool have come in, they're offering me 200k a week and they're offering you £60 million pure profit. And you're going to have Cassidy coming back, who's getting man of the match performances at top of the league. I'm just making a theoretical speculative scenario here. Well, the Chelsea owners, rightly or more probably wrongly, would look at, oh, Cassidy's doing well. He'll come in, he'll sign a new deal for 50k a week, this young kid, and he would do the same job for you, and we can make all this money on Gallagher. I don't know, man. Again, this is a theoretical thing I'm writing here in my head. Yes, Gallagher, who's won 10 caps for England, only 10 caps for England, it feels like he just has more, has appeared 56 times for Chelsea, scoring 3 goals. Again, feels like more. It feels like it should be more, Still, clearly a very, very, very important player for Chelsea of late, Conor Gallagher. I don't know, in years' time, if he goes to Liverpool, I don't know. He's just, the thing is with poor Conor Gallagher, right? He's just the least. I don't mean this aesthetically. He's a good-looking boy, but he's the least. He's not a very sexy player, is he? And in terms of stylistic and all this kind of stuff. So if he goes, people will be like, oh, shame. But, loads of money and we're bringing in the international Galacticos or whatever. And that's really unfair because he genuinely loves Chelsea. But surely this will be the test now. How much do you love Chelsea? Do you love Chelsea enough to get paid less money than you would at Liverpool? Here's the real test, bro. I hope he stays. And again, what's paramount above everything else is that the gaffer's happy, the manager's happy. If you feel like it's working as it is and this is the appropriate setup, then you've got to appease the manager, Todd and Bedad. Look what happened previously. Poor relationship with Tuchel to what happened. You tried to make Potter happy, but I don't. We don't have time to try and dissect what went wrong there. And Lampard was just seeing out the season with vibes. It was always a vibes exercise. Let me know what you think. I'm very keen to learn your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on everything I've discussed in the video today. The stadium and Conor Gallagher and the striker Victor Osimhen. Yes, thank you for joining me as always, and hopefully see you back here very soon on another video. So take care of yourselves, friends. Peace.